I don't care if I ever am again. That was very stressful.
Miles, I was about to curse you about a third through the race. I thought that setup you provided, because I dumped the one that I found on the thing and went with the Miles Crab 2 setup, and I was pushing like a dump truck off 2 and went back all the way to 20th, could barely hang on to the lead lap with Thomas Engel and I half a lap behind the leaders, but with a few adjustments, that thing actually came alive.
Yeah, I made an adjustment before I put it out that I thought would loosen it up on exit, and it ended up that it was scrubbing off the right and front tire through the rest of the corner. So after 2 laps, it just pushed like a dump truck. I probably made a height adjustment or air pressure adjustment or something every single pit stop. There at the end, actually for the last 10 laps, I taped up as much as I could the front of the car and then lowered the rear of the car as far as it would let me. So somehow I didn't drag anything, and I was going as fast as that car's gone all night. With as few cars was around it, but it was not my best setup. But the base setup that I designed that one around was from the original COT back when it had a wing. Back when we first figured out that if you took all the cross weight out of the car, it gained like 0.3 of a second. And I've just used basically that setup through all the coil binding and through everything, and tried to adapt it to this, and I'm missing something on the front of it, and I don't know what it is. Obviously, the right front tire pressure is no longer correct, and a couple other things. But the last time I adjusted that setup, the rear ride height rule was still in effect, and I had it set up so that when I pitted the first time, I could drop the ride height down to as low as it could go, and that was worth about 5 miles an hour on top of the standard set. So that set probably needs to be retired, and I need to rethink it.
But despite all that, and looks like you have some hood damage here on the last lap, it was enough that if you didn't give up and we kept adjusting like you did, and you were helping me, we survived and got ourselves top 5.
Yeah, I mean, it's plate racing, it's a crapshoot. As long as you don't lose the draft, you're in it. I almost screwed up on that pit stop. Actually, no, I did screw up. That caution coming out saved me. I overshot my pit and had to back up. Unless Don would have found an extra 10 horsepower in his car, I think I would have just finished off the back, 5th, 6th or something, because y'all had about a 3 or 4 second gap on me, and that group wasn't going to reform. Yeah, fun race. Went quicker than I expected. Like, that was a 4-hour long race, and or session, and it didn't feel
That's 2 in a row,
bad. I mean, I've got to pee like no other, but I'm not. That was a pretty fun race. It kept my attention through the whole thing.
Well, what I thought was interesting was the whole when Bose and Nasir pitted, and there was a split in the strategy there. That was really, I had no idea. We were all talking on the radio about trying to basically out-strategize them, because we know, we're not faster than those cars, so that was really fun.
I was actually thinking, midway through when I stayed out 2 cautions in a row and stayed up towards the front, I was thinking that the way everything was falling, what happened would happen. I just guesstimated I stayed out long enough, and I had not. But in hindsight, if I did stay out that 3rd time, then I probably would have ran out of gas on the track, and that would have been worse. But no, it was a great race, and I was trying to look up who was in the. Josh Tanner we had a well of a time. We went back and through the field about 4 times due to pit stops and whatever, pulling out just to get air to the front nose or stuff. We had one heck of a time bump drafting. But yeah, we weren't faster than the pro guys, and I wouldn't expect to be. They've done a lot more work to get these setups than probably any of us have. But there at the end, when they tried the fuel save, that's a great idea, and I've tried it many times in the IndyCar, and it never works like it does in real life anyway. You always end up losing more time than you gain by not pitting. And once we caught to the back of them, I knew we were pretty good as long as we could get 3 or 4 cars in a row, and then it'd be a fight between those 3 or 4 cars, because there were only 2 cars within distance of each other, Alan and Josh, I guess. So if they had even if they pushed with all their might, I think we would have just been able to beat them on speed. But it was close, a lot of fun, a lot of strategizing. Played like a road course race more than an oval race.
Yeah, when we came out on the relative, Baker and I were about 13 seconds ahead of them. So they must have really slowed down to save that fuel.
From the time we realized we needed to save fuel or go for it, me and Josh Zintek had fallen, I think it was 25 seconds behind them, and by the time we all pitted, we had caught back up to the group. We were 4 seconds off, but we were still caught back up, and they would have had